Perfect. Now let's shift gears and talk about matters politics today. And I'm joined by Hamisi Mboga, joined me via Zoom. From Nairobi today, he's not in Mombasa. Hamisi, you should have come here in studio. I don't know where you are. Good morning, Hamisi.
Good morning, Hamisi.
Good morning to you, Vic.
Great. I think let's start where we should. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission gave their register report, the audited report yesterday, and a total of 22 million, slightly over 22 million registered voters are now registered in that register for the IEBC. But some of the questions that are still being raised are the irregularities and the transfer of voters in different counties. Is this something that should worry Kenyans?
Victor, yes, yes, because you know the experience that we had in 2017 and earlier. It worries everybody about the register, about those people who are in the register. So some people went to the polling station, they didn't see their name there. So how do we confirm? How do we reconfirm? Because some people are going to reconfirm. It's important that we reconfirming again that your number, your name, and you need the physical register for cross purposes, even if we are going to use it, but let it be there because people miss from either. So cross-check. If it's not the electoral register, and we must prove that.
All right. Okay, we'll get to Hamisi shortly, but as that was happening, IEBC said that it has sealed the final roll of people who will be eligible to take part in the poll, and the register will be gazetted by yesterday in the government gazette. The electoral agency also yesterday said that pressed to give assurance that its move to abandon the use of physical register and instead use the digital solely identifies the electronic voter system will not disenfranchise some of the voters. That was according to IEBC Wafula Chebukati, who explained that the move to ditch the physical register for a digital one was geared towards against malpractice witnessed in the 2017 general election. Remember, some of these are some of the issues that Honorable Raila Odinga raised a while back, a week or so ago, during the clearance process at the Bomas of Kenya. And now IEBC says that this is the way to go. The physical register will not be used. But some people also raised the concern about the use of digital platform or register during the election. That what about there is a technical hitch? What happens there? And IEBC said that they are ready for the poll. Now, the numbers stand at 22,120,458 total number of voters in the August 9th general election, with 46,232 polling stations, up from 40,883 in 2017. 246,465 are the total number of dead voters removed from the roll. 172,922 of those numbers of voters out of 226, 143 flagged with IDs and passports that do not match records. And the figures continue down there. So the electoral body said that the electoral agency has 58,100 kits ready for the use in the 46,232 polling stations that will be used in the August general election. Further, they will also use SIM cards connected to mobile networks through GSM rather, and are easy to replace in case of any failure, and the lost time compensated for. So IEBC said that they are ready for the poll, much as many questions were being raised. I don't know now, we are ready with Hamisi? All right. So that, as far as that is concerned, remember IEBC. Okay. So according to Chebukati, the number of youth aged between 18 and 34 years old actually constituted 39.84%, but represented a decline of 5.2% compared to 2017. And this would actually raise many questions why a majority of these people did not take their voters' cards, or they were not feeling a bit motivated to register as voters. And this is going to affect the voter turnout in the August 9th polls. So, Hamisi, with all those numbers, and IEBC still insists that they are ready to go. Let me just ask you, are they still ready for the polls?
They are ready, but we want to see that they are ready. Two things can be done. One, the political parties and those people who are taking part should be able to access the register, physical register, just in case, to be able to check whether some of the names, or most of the names, or all of the names are in the register. The electronic register is good because it is faster. The moment you go there, you show your ID card and then your name comes out, instead of a big register where you open pages. But then we need the hard cover, the hard copy, just next to it, because some people, like what you said earlier, the machine can break, the gadgets can be able to be this small. But if you have a physical register and an electronic register, and then you move faster, some of the things that we saw in the other elections, you stay in the line so long, some people decide even they get tired to walk out. The numbers are big, so the faster the registers are
yeah.
As they say, so they should involve a meeting. They should call a meeting. They must do another demonstration so that people get a bit happier that things will work out. There is a challenge if they don't do that, because we always suspect that they are not doing it. Have they corrected all the mistakes that were highlighted by the court 2017? These are some of the things that we want to see. What were the mistakes and the
yeah. But I would imagine that IEBC would want to make the mistakes they made in 2017.
Yes, but how can they prove to us that they're not making those mistakes? These are some of the worries that would call for a quick meeting, a quick demonstration, a quick brief, and every time they should brief us as we go along. Because if they wait and the people are getting scared, they say, oh, something is being happened. You know, in Kenya, if anything small happens, the people are trying to steal the votes or something like that. You have to clear that mindset that actually they're doing it, and they're doing it well, and people are trusting that whatever they do, the results will be what the people have decided. Yes.
Yeah, because during the 2017 Supreme Court, the malpractice and the nullification of the presidential election was largely blamed on the process of that election. And the big question is IEBC ready to completely avert such kind of a malpractice and a repeat of what happened in 2017? Because at the end of the day, it was rather expensive. But here, IEBC said that they are ready for any eventuality that may arise from the forthcoming polls. Now, IEBC boss added that the commission will make available by pasting the hard copy of the register of in each of the polling stations 7 days before August general election for purposes of verification by voters. Now, this is the norm by IEBC, so that you go to every polling station and verify if you're a registered voter and if your name appears on that list. With all the 46,232 polling stations across the country, it's going to be a tedious work, but IEBC said that they're up to task and they're working on timelines ahead of that poll. Now, Hamisi, as you are putting it, there is a serious decline if you look at the number of registered voters in 2017 as compared to 2022. What could be some of the reasons?
Maybe some of the reasons that people did not go to either check their voters' status, or they did not go to register, especially the new ones. If they didn't go to register as many as what was expected, and I don't know, how did they calculate to say in 2017 we had this and in 2022 we shall have this? So the process of doing the estimates, are you sure those estimates were correct? Otherwise, we have a good figure. If you have 22 million registered, and if 50 or 80% of them vote, then we have a credible election. My worry would not be that much in terms of the numbers going down, because maybe people did not go to register. People were discouraged because of what happened in 2017. But if they do correct it, then 2027, then we shall be better. But my worry is that the presidential votes, in fact, it was not so much so for the MCA vote, for the governor's vote, because it was physical and people were there. They were, especially in terms of counting and confirming. But the presidential votes, what happens this year? We want to hear what happens this year from the polling station immediately after the polling. What happens with the presidential votes? Are they going to be electronic like they said? I know they have said what confirmation. Are they going to be physically somebody moving from one county to the central tallying station? Will they wait until everybody has brought all those results before they announce final verdict? So those are some of the questions that are going around, and we are seeing they should come very clear and show a demonstration of what can happen to a vote of Hamisi from Mombasa all the way to be counted at the national polling, national counting station, because that will demonstrate that my vote will count. So there are so many worries that are there, and IBC have a big job to do to convince us that these elections will be fine, fair, and credible.
And we hear that there was some malpractice which were conducted in some regions like Nairobi, Wajir, Marsabit, etc., or even Nyeri. And 3 officers at that commission right now are being investigated. Could this jeopardize the outcome of the polls?
No, this would be improved, but we want to see, and we want to know who are these officers. Let them be prosecuted openly so that we see, oh, so-and-so, and then maybe we find why were they doing it? Because I think we should go beyond malpractices. Who is organizing? Who is benefiting from these malpractices? And how do we close those gaps, those holes that are leaking some of these things? I think it should be credible so that an example can be done. The problem of the Kenyan situation is somebody steals and is not taken to court, and if he's taken to court, he's not prosecuted properly and he's set free. So people say, no, it won't be, even if they've done it. If they did it, or if they're doing it now, what will stop them doing it from the 9th of August? That's a worry.
Yeah. But when you look at whatever is happening, this really confirms what Honorable Raila Odinga said, that 1 million, voters were being tampered with, and Deputy President William Ruto, on the other hand, said that a total number of around 800,000 voters had, being transferred from one region to another. Now, these are two top politicians in the country, and whatever they say, whatever, even the numbers that IEBC came up with confirms that much as the numbers are not matching, there is some sense of truth in the tampering of the voters' register.
What, Victor, what would be the objective of transferring Hamisi's voting from station from Mombasa Central from Mombasa to maybe Laikipia? Is it making him not to vote so that you can win, or is it going to be used to put his vote in somebody else? That is really a big worry. Can we ensure that is not happening? What were the numbers? What were the people that were transferred? Because that can give you an insight. Or was somebody transferring a group of people so that they don't vote where they are voting? Or were people going to re-register at home? We need to all this come out so that we know if they were did they consent to do that? If they didn't, who is doing this? Who is doing? Let's put somebody on the paper so that we know so and so is doing this and for what reasons. And it's too late to be able to do that because people are concentrating on campaigning for 9. But I think they should do a good job to be able to prosecute these people earlier so that people have some confidence in the IEBC.
Okay, let's talk about numbers here for briefly. 49.12% of the total registered voters are women, and on that, 50.88% are men. What is the reason why some of the number, there's a disparity in numbers? Yet on the population aspect, it said that women are comprised of the highest in our country. What about now when it comes to registering as a voter?
Victor, because some of us have done some little work, there are some factors that may lead to that one. One, some of the political undertones, the political wave, is men and young men that are so active on the ground, and also when there is some violence, the women really suffer. So I think there is that safety issue. Will I be safe if I go and register? Will I be safe if I go and vote? And what is the environment to do that? So the women, in terms of numbers, may be many, but those who register may be not so many because of some of these factors. Movement from where they are to the voting station, or moving during the voting, there are security issues, and also maybe we are reaching a time where everybody must be given an opportunity to vote wherever they are, so that it becomes easier. Then, the civic education, was it done properly? Political education, was it done properly? Or we still have a whole month? Can we be able to mobilize everybody who has been registered to go and vote? Because that can raise the ratio and the figure. Even 49 is not very bad if they all vote, and it will be reflected.
Yeah. But this will also affect the rate of representation, 49, 50%. That will also affect the representation in different levels of governance.
Yes, and also when a party is looking for this representation, whether it's 2/3, whether it's half, that will bring a challenge. Because if there are not enough numbers to be able to select credible people to be able to fill those places, then we are in trouble. So really, we still have a month and 20 and a few days to mobilize our people to go and vote, so that the ratio can come, so that the selection by the parties, in terms of who is going to be nominated, and beyond the voting, now who is going to be nominated to be able to fill the 2/3 gender. I have had some parties, they're saying it's half-half. let's see this happening so that we get improved. And that will also encourage the women folk that we register, we shall be part of the process, and we shall be in either in parliament or in the county assembly.
But again, Hamisi, we can all argue that it's either just about lethargy, or women just feel disenfranchised or motivated because of the chaos that actually rock this particular country when election time comes. Could that be some of the reasons why as well?
There is a new wave. I don't know whether, Victor, you are seeing the new wave of Martha Karua, if I have to name names, that
yes,
the women folk are coming to say, now we are recognized, now we are going to be on the table. Now, I think that factor will improve the women voting pattern, and we should exploit that one so that we can say it's not only Honorable Martha, but many of you can or should be, so that we can be able to encourage some women to mobilize others. By the way, Victor, if you look at the NGOs, if you look at the groups, if you look at the association, women are the ones who are easily organized by themselves. If you go to any community, you say, I want the church women, they're all there. The men disappear. So because they have that upper aspect of networking, of calling each other. If we mobilize them, if we sensitize them, if we motivate them, I think they shall come out in good numbers and in big numbers.
But again, could these numbers necessarily reflect the outcome of the election? Because there's a difference between having these numbers on the register, and there's a complete difference now with the numbers that will come out of the total number of votes that will be cast.
The formula now is to encourage people to vote. Let them, you know how many have been registered. So we know we need to motivate all of them, or most of them, to come out and vote. And therefore, if they come out and vote properly, these numbers will reflect. The numbers never cheat. If they vote, we shall see how many people have voted in this county in terms of gender, and that will give us a good reflection for those who are doing analysis. They should be able to say what happens in 2017 and what is happening now, and then what strategies should we use to be able to encourage more people to vote. Recently, we have had some youth complaining that I will not vote because I don't see what is happening. You see, this concept of politics is you show people hope that if this happens, this will happen. If there's no hope, even that lethargy will be able to not allow people to go and vote. Let's motivate them. Let's have a good team say, let's vote because this time we shall do it the right way. So the political parties have a role. The political parties have a role. Candidates have a role, and I know they're trying their level best. But all of us have a role, because voting is a responsibility for those people who wanted to be voted in, but also for those people who are voting. Because if you don't make noise when these bad decisions are made by the people who you didn't vote for. That concept must be there. And also, if it didn't work out last time, why don't we do it now so that it can work out now? I'll give you one example of the law allows us.
And of course, voter apathy is something that most of the politicians are almost afraid of, because the voter turnout determines on how the whole electoral cycle will turn out, because all the presidential candidates would want to have that wide margin at the ballot, and that in case of anything, or a runoff, or a clear win, then number 1 and 2 will have a clear picture to argue out their case. But now, let me ask you this: how can IEBC get it right this time around?
IEBC should be able to make sure that there are so many factors. They must make sure that the software is rechecked and is working. The hardware is possibly has been rechecked again. the staff, the human resource that is supposed to be used during the voting should be really trained, because some of them, it's a huge number of people coming to a place. Very, very professional people to deal with human resource. You need motivation. Voting will attract old and young people. You need so many officers to be able to handle, because sometimes the voting can be affected by how the voting process at a police station is done. We saw it 2017. Up to 6:30, the queues were still long. Even in Nairobi, if you saw it. How can we activate so that 6 sharp people start voting and the movement is faster? And then you move as fast as possible so that you can finish in good time. Because we expect by 5 in the evening, you should have had a big number of people who have voted. But some people, I think 2017, could not vote because the line was still long and maybe they have to travel to their homes. So the process must be speeded up. They should check whether they have enough human resource, they have equipment, properly transportation. We saw some voting stations starting very late. Why should voting start late if we are prepared for a whole year to be able to do the voting on that day? Okay? Why do the ballot papers get to the place late and all those things? And our environment, sometimes during voting, the climate is not our brother sometimes. How have we taken care of the transporting system if it rains, all those factors should be taken into consideration before the day. But I insist, if we can be able to start at 6 and move as fast as possible, by 5, a big number of the Kenyans will have taken part in the voting, and they will have taken part in the decision that will shape their lives in the future.
All right. Hamisi, because we're running out of time, let me just ask you this question quickly. IEBC the tribunal made some of the declarations yesterday, one of them being Governor Sonko, who was seeking that position of being a governor of Mombasa, but the case has been dismissed. Can he go to the High Court to appeal? And what will be the outcome?
Yes, because from what he was saying and what these people were saying, they're going to go to the High Court. But there are 2 factors here. How fast will that process be done? You can't stop the whole IEBC process because of one candidate. That's a challenge. I don't know whether IEBC will publish those names today or tomorrow. How quick will they be able to do that? So I think my brother Sonko is in a jam, but freedom and democracy requires that he takes all the steps to ensure that he has satisfied that he has been treated equally and fairly and in a democratic manner. But it's a challenge. I can see a challenge. He may or he may not, depending on what the next court says about him. Can the court stop the whole process of IEBC? Because if it does that, many people will come out and the election will not be done on the 9th.
Absolutely. Hamisi, let's stop it at that particular point. Thank you so much for your insight there. That has been Hamisi Mboga, who is a governance expert, and we've just been talking about matters IEBC, matters concerning the voters register and plans ahead towards the general election. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll be crossing direct to Radio Taifa, where Rashid Monkondo and Majuma will be hosting David Maure Wahiga, who is running for the top seat, the president. They'll be having a discussion there that you don't want to miss. But before then, let's take a break, and after that, straight to Radio Taifa.